All right, so today we're going to dive into the life and legacy of Val Kilmer.
Yeah.
He passed away just recently on April 2nd, 2025, at the age of 65.
Mm-hmm.
I think, for a lot of us, he's somebody we grew up with. We remember him from these iconic films like Top Gun.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Doors.
Yeah.
Batman Forever.
Yeah, huge movies.
But we wanted to kind of dig a little bit deeper,
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people know him for those films, but what else is there to know about him?
Right. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, those are the iconic performances, but we really want to get a better sense of the person, what made him tick. We've got some great sources here today that should shed light on that.
Okay, well, so let's start with his family life.
Yeah.
He was married to the British actress Joanne Whalley.
Yeah.
From 1988 to 1996.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of an interesting period in Hollywood history.
Yeah, definitely.
And they have 2 children together.
They do.
Mercedes and Jack Kilmer.
Right. And of course, as you said, Mercedes was the one who actually announced her father's passing. So, I mean, a very sort of close-knit family, obviously.
Yeah, and both of them, it seems, are kind of following in their parents' footsteps.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of being involved in the entertainment industry, absolutely. Jack, before he was acting, was actually in a band called Glimmer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's clearly that artistic kind of streak running through the family.
So it's interesting, you mentioned Top Gun and The Doors and even Batman Forever. And what's so interesting about his career is that he did these big, huge Hollywood blockbusters.
Yeah.
But then also some really, kind of smaller independent cinema.
Right, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things that makes him so interesting as an actor is that range, right? You go from the cocky kind of swagger of Iceman in Top Gun to the, raw intensity and vulnerability of Jim Morrison in The Doors. I mean, that's a real, testament to his talent and something that, should remind all of us about what he was really capable of.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got Tombstone, which remains, a real cult classic.
Oh, for sure.
And really showcase his ability to inhabit a historical figure.
So, he was in high demand. He was working constantly.
Yeah.
And, when you look at his salary for Batman Forever back in 1995, it was reported that he made about $7 million for that film.
Wow.
So, I mean, that really puts it in perspective.
Absolutely. And I think, if you think about it in the context of that period in Hollywood, I mean, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it really speaks to his star power at the time, right? He was one of those actors who could really, guarantee an audience and get people into the seats.
So where does that leave him financially, at the time of his death?
Right.
His estimated net worth was about $10 million.
Yeah. And so that's, obviously a considerable sum. But I think it also raises some questions about, all of the different factors that contribute to someone's wealth over their lifetime.
Right. And there are other things, aside from just his acting career, he was also involved in real estate.
Yeah, he had a ranch in New Mexico at one point.
Right.
Which I'm sure, was a significant investment.
And his memoir, I'm Your Huckleberry.
Oh, yeah.
Which was a bestseller.
That was a big hit, yeah.
So, I mean, you have to think all these things kind of contributed to his overall wealth.
Right. And I think it's important for, the listeners out there to remember that it's not just one thing. It's often multiple streams of income and different investments that really contribute to someone's overall financial picture.
Right. It wasn't always smooth sailing, though, was it?
Well, I think that's a good point to bring up. I mean, whenever you have someone who lives their life in the public eye, like Val Kilmer did, there are always going to be challenges. And, there were rumors of, a certain intensity, that he brought to his work.
Right.
And that's something that could have had, repercussions financially over time.
Right.
And of course, he went through a divorce, and that can also have an impact. So, it's important to remember that it's never just a straight line.
Yeah, it's a very complicated kind of tapestry.
Exactly. Yeah.
And as he got older, he seemed to embrace a more private life.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense, given, the intensity that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
That was often reported. He was known to be a very committed artist.
Yeah.
And someone who really, was dedicated to his craft. And that can sometimes be perceived as demanding or difficult.
Right. And then in 2014, he was diagnosed with throat cancer.
Right. And that's a real turning point.
Yeah. It's a reminder to all of us that life can change in an instant.
Yeah.
You know, and especially for someone who uses their voice as their instrument.
Yeah.
You know, the tracheostomy that he had to have really impacted his vocal cords.
Right. And it really, I think for a lot of people, it was a stark reminder of just how fragile things can be.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also a story of resilience.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, despite all of those health challenges, he continued to find ways to create, to work, to express himself.
Yeah.
And I think that speaks to a deep and enduring passion for his craft.
So as we kind of wrap things up here, you can see that Val Kilmer's life was full of, incredible highs and lows.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got these huge blockbuster films.
Mm-hmm.
We have these very personal, independent films.
Right.
He was very successful financially.
Yeah.
He had a family that was deeply connected to the arts.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in his later years, he had these health challenges that he had to overcome.
Right. And I think for you listening out there, what's really interesting to think about is what aspect of Val Kilmer's journey resonates with you the most. I mean, when you think about the diverse characters he brought to life,
Yeah.
and the impact that his health had on his later career,
Yeah.
what does it make you think about in terms of the unpredictable nature of a creative life?
Yeah.
It's full of triumph and, really profound change.
Yeah. I think that's a great question to leave everyone with.
Yeah, I hope it's something that people can really kind of sit with and reflect on.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
You got it. Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.